Voice of Hind Rajab has been produced by, I think, like Joaquin Phoenix and a bunch of other people. And it's making its rounds through the awards circuit. Okay. And as a part of this, it was at the Venice Film Festival. And in the aftermath of the Venice Film Festival showing, there was a 23-minute standing ovation. Okay. There's a 23-minute standing ovation. Now, it's being produced by like super, Hollywood legends, right? And on the one hand, I feel like this is offering some semblance of justice for Hind Rajab, who was assassinated by Israel in her parents' car, and then the Palestinian Red Crescent medical team that tried to reach her were also killed in the process. And there's a 23-minute phone call that took place between Hind Rajab and the Palestinian Red Crescent. And now Hollywood has made this movie. And on the one hand, I think this kind of tearjerker is good for broad awareness, I suspect. But I feel conflicted. It was a 3-hour phone call. 23 minutes was a standing ovation length. Yeah. Anyway, I think there is something about this process that I feel very icky about. There's some about this process that I feel conflicted on. I said conflicted on the Hind Rajab movie standing ovation. It feels like a socialist German filmmaker making a movie about Auschwitz while the gas chambers are still running. Important for awareness, but Israel still genociding children like Hind with impunity every day. We must stop it. And I don't want to be the friend who's too woke, because I do see the benefit of this, right? I do see the silver lining, because after all, what do? I try to do awareness every single day. And and this is supposed to be a multifaceted approach, if you're an artist, you use your art to try to get people on board. If you're a movie maker, you use your movie to try to get people on board. But at the same time, I feel like this is still ongoing. This is still ongoing. The people in that room, the people who played a role in making this, they could be making a bigger fuss, I feel like. George Clooney should be on television being like, yo, Israel is a genocidal apartheid state. The f are we doing? Politicians need to stop with this nonsense. I know it's to get more awareness, chatters. I understand. I'm not saying it's bad that they made the movie. Here's what BM said. I really hate you said. Of course, it's great that the Voice of Hind Rajab received such a sympathetic and warm public response, but am I the only one who can't help but be bothered by the insane dissonance when watching this video? Precious little Hind Rajab was brutally murdered in a destroyed city, being bombed and intentionally starved, right before the eyes of a complicit idle world. This isn't history. It's still happening right now. Every day, there are dozens of Hind Rajabs in Gaza being butchered in their decimated millennia-old home simply for being Palestinian. Meanwhile, in Venice, although it could have been LA, Tokyo, Amman, or even Tel Aviv, wealthy, influential people are wearing their fancy suits, indulging in an extravagant event, being served cocktails and hors d'oeuvres by working-class waiters, and having an evening of culture and entertainment while watching poor Hind's story. Venice is just 2,500 kilometers away from Gaza, a mere 4-hour flight from the Tel Aviv airport, named after the orchestrator of the 1948 Nakba. Yet it feels like a whole different world, a spoiled and content world, who takes just a moment in the middle of this indulgent celebration to shed a tear and give a standing ovation in honor of a little girl murdered in a Holocaust that is still being carried out in full force. Their teardrops on their $1,000 iron suit, while at the same time, 4 hours away, another Hind Rajab is being murdered in a destroyed city, bombed and starved to death. And those who brutally murder those thousands of Hind Rajabs are still considered allies in Venice, in Italy, in Europe, and in the entire West. Hell, there must have been some Israelis in that audience last night, some modern-day Nazis who came to watch a film about Auschwitz while the showers are on and the crematoriums are working at full capacity. That was so moving, they'll tell their date, while waiting for a taxi to take them back to their fancy hotels. Got to get some hours of shut-eye. Breakfast buffet opens at 7. Anyways, congratulations to the creators of this important movie. I sincerely hope it drives some viewers into real action. So this is kind of how I feel about it too. I am conflicted on this, because not only are there still tens of thousands of Hind Rajabs that are waiting to be saved. Okay? There are hundreds of them that get slaughtered every day with impunity. Okay? This is not something that happened in the past that is important for people to understand. This is something that is ongoing. So if all this amounts to, in the aftermath of watching this movie, if all that amounts to is, oh, I felt so sad and then that's it, then this is an abject failure. It's exploitation, as a matter of fact. We need this to compel people to take action, powerful people to take action. Do you see what I mean? Because this is still happening. It's still happening. Like, I'm not disparaging the people that also put their careers in jeopardy for putting this out there. Okay? I'm not. I understand the power that propaganda holds. I myself do this every day. If I didn't think that this was a medium that could change people's minds, then I wouldn't be doing this. But unlike many of those people in that room, I will say, I do everything in my power every single day. And I know many of you in here do as well, to move the needle in the right direction. So I hope that the people that played a role in this, Joaquin Phoenix and all these other people, and it's great that they're doing this. Like, I hope that they do more, and I hope they compel others to do more, you know? There's this concept scholar, Robert Fowler, calls interpassivity. He gives an example of WALL-E. When you watch WALL-E, it does your capitalist resistance for you. When you watch WALL-E, it does your capitalist resistance for you. I think your content is the opposite of that. And it seems like maybe this movie encourages interpassivity. It's doing the anti-apartheid for you. By the way, I got this idea from the OG Mark Fisher in his capitalist realism novel. As a Palestinian, I tell you, we need all actions and awareness. The creative class expresses it this way. I take it. Political pressure needs to continue along with art, sports, and all other areas too. Every little counts. No, I agree. I do. I agree with that. That's why I'm not like saying this sucks. Why did they make this? Right? I'm not saying that at all. I hope that this causes people to move, and it urges people. It gets people to recognize the seriousness, the humanity of the Palestinians, and the seriousness of the severity of the violence that they're experiencing.
The record for the longest standing ovation at nearly 24 minutes. And who is it about? The film The Voice of Hind Rajab premiered at the Venice Film Festival on Wednesday. It tells the story of Hind Rajab, the 5-year-old Palestinian child who became a symbol of Israel's atrocities in Gaza. Her story began on January 29th, 2024, when Israel's military told residents of Gaza City to evacuate immediately. So Hind's family got in a car and began to drive north. But a few hundred meters later, they stopped. Hind's 15-year-old cousin Leanne called her uncle to tell him they were surrounded and Israel's army had opened fire on the car, killing everyone inside apart from her and Hind. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society, or PRCS, made contact with Leanne that afternoon.
الو مرحبا. ايوه بتدخل علينا. الدبابة جنبك. انتوا متخبيين؟ في السيارة احنا زميلة الدبابة. انتوا جوا السيارة؟ الو الو
62 gunshots could be heard over just 6 seconds as Leanne screamed for her life, and the call ended in just under a minute. The PRCS called back immediately and Hind picked up.
ميتين؟ وهم هلا معك بالسيارة؟ هي جاية عليكي من قدام السيارة الدبابة؟ قريب كتير؟ كتير وعم تمشي؟ ما بدنا نخاف. أنا معك يا عمري.
The Red Crescent got permission from Israel's defense ministry to send an ambulance to try rescue Hind, but as the ambulance turned onto Hind Street, explosions were heard.
So, for the record, like, here are the things that are important, right? 1, the film was made in collaboration with Hind's mother, Wassam. It's being done with Watermelon Co. Watermelons, that's a good thing. The film was made in collaboration with Hind's mother, Wassam. the Palestine Red Crescent Society, and a cast of dedicated Palestinian actors set entirely in the Red Crescent control room where Hind's final call was heard. Her voice anchors the story in reality. Out of respect, Hind is not portrayed on screen, yet her presence resonates in every frame. May Hind's story change us forever. History. So the people who made it are actually, or the people who are distributing it are actually good. Like I said, it's Alana Hadid, friend of the show. She's Palestinian. It's Watermelon Co. So like, what the f do you mean? The people that made No Other Land are literally also straight up. Like I already said this. I told you, like, the reason why I feel conflicted about it is because on the one hand, you know, I participate in awareness initiatives as well. On the other hand, obviously if this movie was like silly to make, then it means everything that I've done so far is also silly and there's not warranted at all. It's completely powerless. But now it's time to honor the memory of Hind and cut any and all ties with Israel and Zionists. That's straight up. That's it. And I know I don't have to say, I know I don't have to say that about, like, you know, Alana Hadid or any number of different people that work at Watermelon Pictures. Obviously, they already have done that. But my expectation, I hope, is not that these guys just like simply put their name with this, simply associate themselves with this project as like executive producers, but go beyond that and demand change within Hollywood, because these people are real movers and shakers in Hollywood as well. Do you see what I mean?
And the line dropped. The paramedics were no longer responding. Hind was still on the call, alone and surrounded by the dead bodies of her family members. It was beginning to get dark. The Red Crescent had gotten her mother on the phone. They all did what they could to get her to keep talking, but she began to fall silent for long periods of time. When they asked why she wasn't speaking, she said, "Every time I talk, blood comes out of my mouth and makes my clothes dirty, and I don't want my mum to have to clean it." They told her to stay in the car where they could find her, and that if night comes and they still haven't arrived, she should close her eyes so she doesn't see the tanks.
حبيبتي والله لو بإيدي لأجيكي.
The call broke off shortly after. They tried to call again and again, but no one answered. No one could reach the area for nearly 2 weeks. Once they did, they saw the Red Crescent ambulance that had come to try rescue her was a burned out shell, with almost nothing remaining of the paramedics' bodies. Further up the street, the door and parts of the hood from Hind's car had been torn off. The windows were blown out and it was covered in bullet holes. A total of 335 bullets had been fired at the car. The body of Hind's uncle was still dangling from the driver's seat. The car smelled of decomposing corpses from the dead bodies of the 5 children piled together in the back seat. The family was buried together outside Al Shifa Hospital, and their murder became a rallying cry for activists around the world. Students raised awareness about Hind on university campuses worldwide, and the Hind Rajab Foundation was set up to prosecute Israeli soldiers accused of war crimes internationally. When Tunisian filmmaker Kauthar Ben Hania heard the audio recording of Hind, she decided to drop everything and make the film, saying, "I cannot accept a world where a child calls for help and no one comes." She got the full 70-minute audio from the Red Crescent and testimonies from Hind's mother and others who had been over the phone, reconstructing the story. Once it was underway, names like Brad Pitt, Joaquin Phoenix, Rooney Mara, Jonathan Glazer, and Alfonso Cuarón signed on as executive producers. It was then nominated for the Golden Lion, the highest prize given to films at the Venice Film Festival, to mark important contributions to cinema. In a time where people are constantly exposed to short bursts of violence and suffering online, Ben Hania focused on the retelling of violence through Hind's voice rather than video. In this way, she said, cinema can preserve a memory and cinema can resist amnesia. The movie, a simple story about a child being trapped alone and no one coming to rescue her, may do exactly that.
Like I said, everyone, it takes a village. Everyone has a role to play in this. If you're an artist, you use your art to communicate and create broad awareness. If you're a movie maker, you use that. The only reason why I feel kind of conflicted is because, like, this is just an ongoing incident. Like, this is an ongoing issue. This is an ongoing genocide. You know what I mean? It's still happening. It's not something in the rear view mirror. I don't know.